We're going to talk about domestic violence and how it does affect the elderly. And joining us today from the Area Agency on Aging 3, Anna Hairston. She's with the Awakenings and Care Coordinator. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So, you know, we think of domestic violence and abuse, and sometimes we don't think about the elderly, but it does. There is elder abuse, isn't there? Tell us more.
There is. We don't know the exact numbers, but somewhere between 1 in 6 and 1 in 10 will experience abuse in their later life. And unfortunately, only 1 in 24 of those will ever report that abuse.
Wow. Is it because they're afraid, you think, or they just don't know that they're actually being abused?
Yeah, so it could be they're embarrassed that it's happening to them. It could be that they rely on that person for caregiving needs, food, shelter, other basic needs. It could be they're afraid of retribution. Maybe the abuser is their family member, and so oftentimes we don't want to get our family members in trouble, or you know, the option of jail. Scary thought.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I assume this affects them in a lot of different ways. We're talking emotional and all those kind of things. So tell us more about that, how it does affect them.
Yeah. Some random things that you might not think of. It can increase their risk of falls. It can lower life expectancy. It can cause higher rates of depression and anxiety, all sorts of things that just negatively affect them.
Wow, yeah. So is there ways that we can, like, see this and report it? You know, if they might be afraid too, can we report it instead? Or, you know, how do you even hear about it then?
Yeah, so it's not just, you know, bruises and broken bones. It can be things like maybe you weekly would get lunch with your friend, and now they're making excuses for why they can't come. Maybe there's financial discrepancies. They're suddenly not able to pay bills or do things like that. You know, abusers like to isolate the person, and it makes it easier for them to get away with things.
So is it typically then a family member? Is that the highest offenders in this?
Yeah, often family. And when you think of domestic violence, I think we often think an intimate partner, but often it's adult children, it's grandchildren, somebody in a caregiving role, somebody moving into the home suddenly. So really, it's a wide variety of people.
Wow, wow, that is just really sad. So it's good to raise awareness then, and how they can reach out to help. And is the agency one place to reach out, or do you go to law enforcement first? I mean,
we encourage people to make police reports, just so there's a record and they can go from there. But we often report to Adult Protective Services. Each county has an Adult Protective Services worker, and those are housed within either the area agencies on aging or their county job and family services. And then my program, Awakenings Victim Outreach, is another place, and we work alongside law enforcement and Adult Protective Services to provide extra resources.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if they're stealing the money from them, and as you mentioned, they can't pay bills, get their prescriptions, I mean, they need help with that kind of thing. So that's kind of where you guys help fill in the gaps somewhat?
Yes, and one missed rent payment can snowball, and we all know how hard housing is to find these days, and having an eviction is just
it certainly is. So, well, I guess it's good for them to know there is help out there. If you take that step and get things rolling, that you guys can help out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. And speaking of helping out, we have a free seminar coming up, and that's about the opioid situation, right? So tell us, it's coming up on November 7th.
Yep, November 7th. It's at the UNOH Event Center. I think it's 9 to 3:30. And we'll have about 4 speakers and a panel, and you'll get a lot of information and then learn how to apply that information later in the day.
All right. So is this mainly for caregivers or for lay people?
Anybody in the community. Professionals, just community members who want to know more about it. Maybe you have a family member who's experiencing some of those difficulties. Just a lot of good information. And free lunch.
Free lunch too. All right, very good. It's all free there, very much. Great information today. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, don't go away. Noon Edition continues in a moment.